number of bank robberies that go on in the city because they don't want to spur. But that was kind of wild. You think Asbel it's because of the town? You think that people get ideas for it?
Well, the movie was very educational.
It gave you ideas as well. Hey, the movie of all movies is opening today. Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. Huh? I mean, 20-something.
Big night for movies.
Some 20-something years later. I mean, you got to admit that movie has become. Want to talk about a cult classic? And there was a great review that I read online this morning, which basically said that, when Gordon Gekko,
I wish I could read movie reviews in the morning.
He actually represented, at the time, the real severe look at what a greedy Wall Street, investment banker was. If you think back to what we've just come through, Gordon Gekko seems tame, absolutely tame in respect to the last 4 or 5 years.
I think he was modeled after Ivan Bosky in that one.
It was pretty, yeah, you're right, because back then that was really the big crime, and Michael Milken and what they were doing. And then since then, it's just the world's taken off. I mean, think about, I was actually watching Wall Street's been playing a lot, and the numbers were being bantered around. It was like 30, 40, 50. That's nothing. One guy said, if you're lucky, I'll make 10 million this year. Well, I mean, you got hedge fund managers making $1 billion, making $2 billion in a year. So I think that really, I don't think that matters. But the story is kind of interesting. It's 8 years he spent in jail, and then he gets out, and then it takes him another 7 or 8 years to get to where the primary story is. And in that 7 or 8 years, he climbs back into being on some sort of a pinnacle. But I'm sure it'll be
nice.
I
still want to go back to the value proposition question, Ron.
Well, we can get back to that in a sec, guys. But we're sort of covering a lot of different ground. And one thing that you'll realize, and they took down my list of things. It is called the Ron Mann Show, by the way.
I hear you.
So I'm kidding. But actually, let's go back and talk a little bit more about what some of the things that you're doing and in the mode of the value proposition. What are some of the price points that we're talking about for companies here?
Yeah. What does this cost? Because that's a big question that small companies ask themselves. Can we afford this? It's easy for Coca-Cola to pay for it, or NBC, but what about the little guy?
Yeah. Well, I would say it depends on how big of a market you want to reach. It's just like any other type of advertising.
Well, give us a case study. Give us a client.
Well, if you want to be found in your local market, we charge one thing. But if you want to be found by people searching for products and services all over the world, it takes a lot more work. And basically, you can go to our website, which is www.projectseo.ws. We'll give you a free quote right there.
So
is there performance based to that? Is that how you guys work? If you guys could do this, then you get X amount, then it charges based on that?
Well, it is results oriented, our pricing structure. Absolutely. I mean, if we didn't get good results, then we wouldn't have our clients renewing month after month.
But they do sign a contract, like some sort of a monthly maintenance contract. Or
it takes a few months to get good organic results. It's not something that happens overnight. There's a lot of groundwork that needs to be laid. I mean, most of the time when clients come to us, even if they have an existing website, it's not coded correctly. It's not built in WordPress. Sometimes it's got duplicate content. I mean, if a search engine finds out you have duplicate content, it's sort of like cheating on your test in school. I mean, you get penalized and you get de-indexed.
So what you're saying, Stephen, is that depending upon its, let's call it regionality, if it's very local, like a town or a city, versus a state versus national versus the world, that's what's going to dictate the price point?
Sure, it's easier to dominate a local search like a chiropractor Boca Raton than it is to dominate a search for, just say, chiropractor. The more specific the search, then the fewer possibilities.
One of the things I've noticed is, like, I was bringing it back down to like politics, for example. A lot of politicians are using the web a lot more effectively than they ever have before, and they have full-time web people on staff, new media people. What would a local politician, what would you have, like, if a local politician hired Project SEO to work with them, what would you recommend?
I think it's great for politicians. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of efficiencies gained through advertising on the internet. It's a lot less expensive than doing mailers and doing TV commercials and and it's equally or really more effective.
Well, it's more ground roots like.
It's more grassroots, right? Let's talk mobile, because that's where everything is going. So you also, obviously, because I've noticed on sometimes when I download websites they don't work, and other times I download websites and they're built for they're built for for a BlackBerry or for an iPhone. I mean, you help clients do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we make sure that all of our websites can be viewed on the mobile portable devices. I think that's very, very important. As you know, there's I don't know if it's a war between Apple and Adobe, or if it's just sort of a disagreement in what the future should look like. But basically, a lot of the Apple products do not view Flash. When we build a website, we create the animation in something called Ajax, so that you can view the animation on your iPhone or your iPad. So when we build a website, that's another thing that we do, is we actually don't use Flash for the animation.
I noticed that a lot of the porn that I download for some reason won't work in some instances, so I have to. No, I don't do that. I actually had to block my own phone for that kind of stuff. But in any case, so yeah. And then what other thing we talked about before the show, when we did our pre-show interview, because I have no one else to do that because my co-host is late. We talked about some of the other projects you're working on, and there was this idea that you had, or this company that you're creating as well, called, what is it called?
Well, yeah, I mean, we come up with a lot of ideas, and one of them, sort of a unique idea that we had, is it's called What to Do When In. It's something fun to do every hour of the week, day and night, in over 100 markets. It's something that we're developing. It's an iPhone, iPad app.
Like an iPad.
Yeah.
So,
just something that we're working on.
That sounds very, very cool. So let's segue. We're gonna take a left turn a little bit and talk about sports. I don't know if you guys are into sports at all. I know Jason definitely is.
Dolphins are 2-0. What are you talking about?
Dolphins are 2-0. What was my prediction 3 weeks ago? The Dolphins would go 4-12, 5-11, 6-10 at best, right? I'm going to stick with that prediction. I still think that the Dolphins are going to go 6-10. Do you see what's going on in Dolphin Stadium with this new club they're building, the new Live nightclub? They spent $3 million to rip out some suites and put in some whatever, and there's going to be a full-blown nightclub going on during Dolphin games. What do you think about that?
It's Miami. We wouldn't want it any other way, right?
But I mean,
I'm actually go up to the stadium now.
I'm a big, listen, I personally don't go to as many games as I probably could go to, because I just think it's a waste of time. I kind of like the fact that I can sit at home and relax and watch it on a flat screen and that kind of stuff, and not get into trouble. But and I'm cheap too, and I hate paying $9 for a drink, anymore. But I think it's ridiculous. I think what Steve Ross has done with bringing in J-Lo and Mark Anthony and Madonna's daughter Lourdes, I don't know, as co-investors in the team, and I know the NFL specifically frowns on it. I think it's a little ridiculous. I think that sports needs to stick to sports. And to do put all these amenities in the stadium and all that kind of stuff, I understand why he does it, because it does make more money for the team.
And it brings it a broader audience. You've got people that love J-Lo that are now like, oh, maybe I'll check out this Dolphins.
So you can go to the game because J-Lo owns 1% of 1%.
That might be like, oh, whatever J-Lo is doing is great. They buy her perfume. They buy her everything else.
It's a little ridiculous. If you win, it all doesn't matter. It's a moot point. But if you lose, it is truly, truly ridiculous.
But if you're doing like base, like if you're somewhere in the middle and you get an extra 10% profit, that's great for you as a business,
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think we have a caller. Is that Marv on the phone? Marv, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Marv, of course, is my dad, who has a weekly segment on the show called Marv's Rants, because you get pissed off about things, Pop.
Yeah, I do.
What are you ranting about today? I'm really...
Before I rant, go Jets. Okay?
Go Jet. Okay, good. All right, go Jetties.
I got two things. My three favorite organizations are the NRA, the NCAA, and the PGA.
Okay.
Asinine organizations. Sorry.
Okay.
I read this. The NCAA, banned Southern Cal for 4 years, made really basically Bush give back his Heisman and so forth and whatever, for just talking to agents. That was the infraction that these college athletes